Good evening and welcome to Self-Care is Not Canceled, Cultivating Wellness and Adjusting for Uncertainty. My name is Jenny Dale Holland and I am the Alumni Relations Coordinator at Salem State University, as well as a proud 2013 alum of Salem State's award-winning theater department. I am thrilled to introduce to you today public speaker, consultant, and author, Dr. Teresa Melito Connors. Dr. MC received her bachelor's in theater studies from Emerson College, followed by her master's in education, specializing in school counseling from Salem State University in 2011, and finally her PhD in educational leadership from Lesley University, where her area of scholarship was self-care and renewal for leaders and teachers. No stranger to the spotlight, Dr. MC has trained professionally as a dancer and performer in musical theater. Her background as a performer, combined with her research at Lesley University, ignited her desire to help others with self-care and inspired the creation of Dr. MC's Self-Care Cabaret. Dr. MC also maintains an active and refreshingly positive presence on social media and regularly publishes on her blog. It is with great pleasure that I introduce my fellow Viking and theater lover, Dr. Teresa Melito Connors.
Thank you so much. What a fabulous introduction. I appreciate that.
Welcome.
I don't have anything else to say for an intro. That was perfect. So let's get started. I'm so excited to be here and to present on behalf of Salem State University this evening. So without further delay, let's get going. First, I want to talk about stress in our bodies. And don't worry, we won't dwell too long on negative, but everybody experiences stress, right? And sometimes a little bit of stress is actually a good thing. That can be motivating and it can actually be good for us. But what happens over time is the chronic exposure to stress can really wreak havoc on our bodies. And you may be familiar with the fight or flight response. So if you're, let's say, being chased by a bear in the woods, you absolutely want your fight or flight response to kick in. You want to be able to get yourself to safety, get out of harm's way. But again, what happens if we are chronically exposed to stress and not taking care of ourselves, we can actually get stuck in that fight or flight mode. That's really not a great place to be. You can see on the screen that when we're in that fight or flight response, our breathing is increased, our blood pressure, our metabolism, our hormones, and we're not able to think clearly or concentrate or be as creative as we'd like. Our immune system suffers and our digestive system can suffer. So we don't want to stay there. Where we would rather be is in the opposite, which is the rest and digest response or our relaxation response. And we're going to talk about some ways that we can help kind of hack our system and stay in that rest and digest. And I know we dove right in here this evening, no messing around. So you can see, though, in the rest and digest response, that now everything that was increased in fight or flight is now decreased. So now our breathing is calmer, our blood pressure is lower, our metabolism, our hormones, adrenaline, we're better able to think clearly and concentrate and be creative. Our immune system functions better and our digestive system functions better. So when we neglect our self-care, so when we don't take care of ourselves, and we're going to talk about lots of ways over the next hour that we can easily, efficiently, effectively, and for little to no money, take care of ourselves. So when we neglect our self-care, we can fall victim to all sorts of unpleasant health consequences, things such as digestive issues, or maybe headaches, or feeling depressed, or having difficulty sleeping. I know for myself, I tend to get stomach issues. My eye starts to twitch and I will get headaches. So that's how my body tells me that I'm not taking good care of myself. So you may notice some different things on that list that maybe work for you. And maybe you recognize, like, yep, that's me when I don't take care of myself. So, what is self care? This terminology gets thrown around quite a bit. And there's actually a lot of stereotypes around self care. And hopefully, we're going to bust a few of those stereotypes here this evening. But you may think that self care is something that's selfish, or it's something other people need, or it takes a ton of time, or costs a lot of money. Well, it really doesn't. What I'm talking about when we talk about self care is this definition. And I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but I do want to point out a couple of key elements. daily. It is the daily process, foundational work required for physical and emotional well-being. So think of the foundation of a house, right? Foundation of a house. If you have a shaky, weak, cracked foundation, you're likely not going to have a very strong house. So if you want to think of your self-care as what you do every day to make sure you're showing up as the best you possible. This is your foundation. So now that we know the definition of self-care, let's talk about a couple of things that self-care is not. It is not optional. It's not things that we put on a to-do list and just think about them as if they're chores. It's not selfish. It's not an emergency fix or like an emergency response or a quick fix. It's not a one and done. You can't just, drop down to the floor, do a down dog or another yoga pose and be like, oh, well, that's good. Did my self-care now for the year. No, that's not how it works. It's also not something that's punishment or extreme. Some self-care practices or some things that may mistakenly get labeled as self-care can be a little tricky. So things like dieting, sometimes that is portrayed as if it's something healthy, but it may not be depending upon the circumstances and the extreme. I know for myself, I put this up here for totally personal reasons, but I'm in recovery for disordered eating and exercise bulimia. And at the height of my dis-ease, I was exercising to the point of exhaustion and, dieting from a really restrictive place. And so that looked good from the outside, but that really wasn't self-care despite being praised for it. Also abusing substances or talking badly about yourself, even if it's a means of motivation. Buying something that promises to make you love yourself more. Trust me, I've tried, doesn't work. Socializing for fear of missing out or saying yes just because you're nice or anything that shames your physical appearance or your eating habits. It's not self-care. So I like to frame my workshops, and we're going to go through these pretty quickly, but I like to frame my workshops around the 10 domains of self-care. So I want you to think about as we're going through these domains, maybe areas that you have strengths or weaknesses, and everybody has strengths and weaknesses, and that's okay. But we're going to talk about, generally speaking, what excellence looks like in each domain, and then think about your own life and your own circumstances. The best thing about self-care is it's really what's going to work for you. And I'll give you some tips and tricks and suggestions, but of course, you're going to need to then think about your own situation and life circumstances and figure out what's going to work best for you. And we'll talk about some ways to do that as well. So let's dive into the nutrition hydration domain. Domain number 1. Generally speaking, we need to drink water, at least 6 to 8 cups. Regular plain water, not soda, not Gatorade. If you want to augment with those things, sure, but make sure you're also drinking some plain water, or at least Pellegrino or Polar Seltzer, or even non-caffeinated herbal teas. We need to honor our hunger cues. Way easier said than done. Generally speaking, that means we need to eat when we're hungry and stop when we're full. This is an area that I have struggled with in my recovery, and I would encourage you, if this is an area you struggle with, as lots of people do, to look into the research and the framework around intuitive eating, and also the book Health at Every Size, and start looking into that work in terms of trying to make peace with food. We need to also slow down when we eat. We're busy as a society. We run around, we choke down meals in between meetings or in the car, or we skip meals. It actually takes your body 20 minutes takes your stomach 20 minutes to tell your brain that you're full. So if you're not taking the time to really listen to your body because you're doing a million other things while you're eating, you're probably missing those subtle cues. Ideally, we don't want to skip meals, so we eat our breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snacks. We eat a variety of nutritious foods, and we try as much as possible to plan it out, not from a restrictive like calorie counting place, but just so we're setting ourselves up for success. The exercise domain. This is where we want to make sure we're moving our body. Regular exercise that includes a variety of activities is very important. The American Heart Association tells us 10,000 steps a day is ideal. However, more recent research tells us that if we're not getting at least 5,000 steps, we should really reevaluate. We don't want to sit for long periods of time. And here's probably the most important piece. Engage in movement that is joyful to you. There's no sense in struggling through a gym session where you strap yourself on a treadmill for 45 minutes at a time if that does not bring you joy. If you enjoy that, by all means, go for it. But chances are we tend to do these things and engage in these activities that really don't bring us joy. So why do it? And just so folks know too, I know was mentioned that I do have a blog. I go into a lot more depth in a lot of my blog posts, longer presentations, Instagram reels, Facebook lives, all the things. So be sure to follow up with me. So definitely be more information you can get about a lot of these topics. Additionally, we don't want to exercise in excess or participate in things that are extreme. It's just not necessary. All movement is good. Even if you just do 5-minute dance parties, that is movement. Cleaning your house, gardening, it's all movement. It's all good. And again, you'll notice a theme about kind of scheduling just so you're setting yourself up for success. And especially right now, there are so many options for online classes. YouTube is bursting with tons of great free content for you to access. You don't have to go into a class and potentially embarrass yourself or be made to feel silly if you can't do whatever the instructor is doing. You can do it right from the comfort of your own home. So lots of opportunities to move. Our next domain is soothing strategies. The best thing you can do to help soothe yourself is deep breathing practices. This calms your nervous system, promotes mental clarity, and helps restore balance. So think back to that screen where we talked about stress in our bodies and we had that fight or flight response and the rest and digest. When you do deep breathing, you actually help activate the rest and digest. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a sec. Additionally, you can think about calming things or do something physical, intellectual, interpersonal, or creative to relax. You can use soothing smells or sounds or tactile experiences. I know I keep little crystals and different little things here at my desk that I can use to help soothe myself. I also keep a lot of scents and different sprays and oil diffusers around as well, and that helps me maintain calm. And again, prioritize these activities. I know this is the first thing to go out the window as soon as you feel stressed out. It's like, oh, well, there goes the self-care. And it really shouldn't be, because when you put your needs first, you're actually able to give to others and attend to your other things, but it has to be you first. I know it's a cliche, but when you're on an airplane, they say put your oxygen mask on first before you help others. That's what it means to practice self-care also. So we're going to practice. So if it's comfortable to you, we're just going to do some basic deep breathing. But I invite you to put one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly. You can close your eyes or lower your gaze. But you're going to take a nice big deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Now, pro tip, make that exhale longer than your inhale. That helps stimulate your parasympathetic nervous system, which engages that rest and digest response right where we want to be. So let's do 3 rounds together. Breathe in nice and deep in through the nose. Fill that belly all the way. And exhale. Want to make sure you're emptying your belly all the way on the exhale. Let's try that again. In through the nose and out. And one last time. And out. Excellent. That is the quickest, easiest, one of the most effective and free ways that you can instantly calm yourself and feel better. If nothing else, you can get to a place where you can just take a couple of deep breaths. You will notice a benefit. There's lots of other breathing exercises you can do. We're just going to do that one for tonight, but there's so many more. So if you're interested, again, please find me on social media or look them up. Look up breathing exercises. There's lots of other fun ones that you can do. Okay, let's talk about our next domain, the self-awareness and mindfulness domain. This is where we want to make sure we have calming awareness of our thoughts, our feelings, and our body. We carefully select which thoughts and feelings we use to guide our actions. We can practice meditation in some form, and I do encourage you to meditate. Think of meditation, though, as a muscle. If you've never meditated before, chances are you're not going to be able to sit down and just meditate your first time out for 45 minutes. Or you may think, like, I can't get on the floor and do the pose and the thing. Don't let go of the idea of perfection and just meditate. You can do it anywhere. You can do it sitting in a chair. You can do it lying down in bed. You can do it for 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Maybe build yourself up to longer periods of time, or maybe you only do 5-10 minute meditations. Any meditation is good. You're just trying to slow down the traffic in your mind. There's lots of apps that can support you with that. Headspace, Calm, Aura, Insight Timer, so many free options. And some of them, like Headspace, actually start you off really small, I think with like 2 or 3 minutes, and then build you up over time if you continue using the app. Mindful or intuitive eating would also fall under this domain. Yoga or another mind body practice. I would encourage you too with yoga to give it a shot. That's another one that people tend to put up barriers for themselves, and they think, "Oh, I'm too old, I'm not flexible, I'm not thin enough, I'm not this, I'm not that." No. You can do yoga. Every body can do yoga. Now, you may need to use modifications. You may use props. You may do only standing poses, or you may do seated poses or chair poses. It's all good. It's all movement. You're just slowing down. You're helping connect that mind, body, and spirit. It's all beneficial. And again, as much as possible, try to track and record and schedule your self care practices so you're setting yourself up for success. And lastly, we want to acknowledge the things in which we are grateful for. That can actually be a really powerful practice, which we'll talk more about in a minute. So let's define mindfulness. This terminology gets thrown around a lot, and it's definitely a buzzword. So I want to define it for you a little bit. This is my favorite depiction of mindfulness. You can see these two people, right? They're walking in a beautiful park somewhere. Let's say they're in Boston Common. The one on the left, they're not really there. Their physical body is there, but their mind is elsewhere. They're thinking about all the things on their to-do list, what they've done, what they haven't done, what they had for dinner, they're everything except that present moment. Whereas the person on the right, well, they're there in the moment. They're there with their friend. They're feeling the warmth of the sun. They're seeing the beautiful scenery around them. They're being mindful. So mindfulness is the awareness that arises through paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally. That non-judgmental piece can be a tricky also, because we tend to be our own worst enemies. But let's talk about some other ways we can help practice mindfulness. There probably are thousands of other ways that we can do this. This is just a selection of 4, and these are some of my favorites. So you can get into the habit, you're really stressed out at work or something's going on, and you can teach yourself to stop. Stop what you're doing, take a breath, observe your inner and outer worlds, and then proceed. Just give yourself that momentary pause. Next, we can reflect on the day so far and ask yourself what went well. We tend to give our attention to negative. We think about negative, we dwell on negative, what we said, what we didn't say, what we wish we said. We replay things in our head. No, start to get to a place where you can ask yourself what went well. WWW. See how it feels. This one, the rainbow connection. You can do this in the room you're in right now. Look around the room, the space you're in. Can you spot something of every color of the rainbow? You can also do this outside. Call it a rainbow walk. Take a walk around your neighborhood and really be there in the moment. See if you can find things of every color in your environment. Kind of a fun game. And lastly, we can actually do this together. Let's stretch your arms out nice and wide. Like you're going to give the whole world a hug, and I think the whole world could use a hug, and you're going to take a nice big deep breath in. And on that nice long exhale, you're going to give yourself a hug and really squeeze yourself. Feel that hug, that therapeutic touch, and you can repeat that as needed. But another activity, just get you in the here and now, the present moment. So let's talk a little bit more about gratitude. So when we express gratitude, it's actually a mood booster. It helps increase our happiness, our health, and improve our relationships. There's research to support that when you practice gratitude, your brain rewires itself to promote happiness and boost our mood. How cool is that? So, gratitude can be for someone else or for yourself or for something. We tend to focus on negative. And when you focus on negative, you attract more negative. So, we really have to be careful with that. So, think about trying to get into an attitude of gratitude. So, here's how we can get started. You can say thank you. You can give someone a sincere compliment. You can start a gratitude journal. Very simple. Get a notebook, a dedicated notebook, or just do it on your phone on the note function and write down a couple things every day that you're grateful for. Or do a gratitude jar. Similar concept. You want to get a vessel of some sort or a jar and decorate it and whatever. And every day, a little slips of paper, or every day, every week, every month, whenever you think about it, add something to the jar that you're grateful for. And then at a later date, take some time to go back through all the things you added and reflect on everything you have to be grateful for. I think that would be such an awesome opportunity, an activity to do as a family, or even a group of friends, or maybe a class or something, a group of people in a school. You can write someone a gratitude letter, perhaps to someone in your life you never properly thanked. Or maybe you did thank them and you want to thank them again. There's no limit. Could flip an ungrateful thought. So get into a place where if you catch yourself in those moments where maybe you're feeling less than grateful, and we all have them, but that you can help flip that. Can also, to help remind you, maybe set a 5-minute timer or set a calendar alert where you can have your gratitude time. Or keep a running list, keep a gratitude inventory. Do it like on a note function on your phone or maybe a Google Doc, somewhere where you can quickly access it from almost anywhere. And just keep a running list of everything you're grateful for. Maybe in those moments where you're feeling ungrateful, you can just refer quickly to your inventory and remind yourself all you have to be grateful for. Rest. Our next domain, an often neglected but very important domain of self care. We have to get enough sleep so we can feel rested and restored when we wake up in the morning. Generally speaking, that's 7 to 9 hours for adults. You can use a Fitbit if you have one or another type of activity tracker to get some sleep statistics for yourself. I did that and I was a little astounded that my sleep actually was poor. This was a couple of years ago, and I was able to course correct with a weighted blanket, which we'll talk about in a second. Or you can plan restful and rejuvenating breaks throughout the day. Rest when needed. I promise the world will go on turning if you take a day off. You can take planned breaks or plan and schedule pleasant activities that are not school or work related in your life. We also need to take time away from electronics, especially now. Lots of noise on social media and the news. And so you want to make sure that, you're staying informed, but you're not obsessing and that you're protecting your own sensitivities by taking some time away from electronics. And of course, make time in your schedule to get enough sleep. If you're like me and you need 8 hours of sleep, and let's say I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, well, then I better be in bed by like 10, or I'm already not setting myself up for success the next day. So let's talk about some more sleep tips because I know this is an area folks struggle with. Generally speaking, your bedroom temperature should be 68 degrees. Drinking water helps your body regulate its temperature. If you do need to play around with that, you can try cooling sheets or mattress toppers. The bedroom is only for sleep. Really try as much as possible not to do work or schoolwork or whatever it is in the bedroom. That confuses your brain that that's a space where work happens. So it's hard to calm down in that space if you're also using it for work. I know that might be tricky, especially with folks working from home these days, thanks to the ongoing pandemic. But as much as possible, really try to separate those spaces. Additionally, you want to sleep in as close to darkness as possible. So be aware of any outside light pollution or light from any devices, and try to stop any device use at least an hour before bed. Another great activity, just kind of clear the junk out of your brain, is to journal at the end of the day before bed. So maybe a great time to write down your gratitude list or practice your what went well right before bed. End your day on a positive note. Additionally, guided meditations, visualizations, hypnosis, white noise, those can all be great ways to help promote more calming, restful sleep. Gentle yoga stretches or breathing exercises, another great thing to do before bed. Just the basic deep breathing or some gentle stretching. We don't want to do anything too energetic too late in the evening because that can actually make it difficult to fall asleep. So maybe a late night Zumba class might be a little too energizing and make it harder for you to go to bed. Our diet and our supplements play a factor in how well we sleep. Some vitamins and supplements have energizing qualities, so we want to be careful that we're not taking them too late in the day. Or an afternoon cup of coffee could also be impacting your ability to sleep. And then we know certain foods may help promote better sleep. So it's known that nuts can actually help you sleep, whereas carbs may be more energizing. So we might want to avoid carbs and sugar too late in the evening. Lavender, the smell of lavender can be really beneficial and promote calmness. So think about maybe a pillow spray or a room spray, an oil diffuser, or another way to get that scent. A weighted blanket, as I briefly mentioned, can be a great way. Kind of the idea of a weighted blanket is that light kind of therapeutic touch, almost like you're being wrapped in a hug. You want to aim for 8 to 10% of your body weight. But it's been shown in research to show, in some anecdotal research about it actually lowering your cortisol levels. So that's one of your stress hormones. So we want to make sure that those are lower and promoting more sleep. I do find that it works for me. It's been pretty successful. I will warn you, if you do purchase one, you don't have to spend a ton of money, but make sure you get one with a cover because you can't wash the weighted heavy parts. So you want to be sure that you can launder the cover as needed. And lastly, we want to set consistent times for going to bed and waking up as much as possible so that way our body can get into the rhythm of when it's time to go to bed and when it's time to wake up. Okay. Our next domain is the relationship domain. So, as much as possible, we want to spend time and make time for people who are good to us, support us, sustain us, encourage us, and believe in us. Want to make sure you feel supported by the people in your life. You'll feel respected or be respected if you say no, and you can stand up for yourself in your relationships. And you'd have someone to listen to you if you became upset. Now, if you just heard that description, you're thinking to yourself, I don't have that. I would strongly encourage you to seek the support of perhaps a mental health counselor, a therapist of some sort, or maybe a group you can get involved in with other like minded individuals so that you're really getting that relationship domain. And I know this past year, we've had to get a little more creative with this, but hopefully you've been able to still do that and connect with folks, as it's important that we have these people in our life. Our physical medical domain. This is where we want to engage in or access our medical care. We go to the doctors, we go to the specialists, we do what we're supposed to do for the most part in this area. Just same with dental care. Now, I will say that you do have a right to ask questions of your medical professionals, seek a second opinion, and do your own research. I do encourage folks to do that and keep in mind that when you're looking for healthcare professionals and our medical practitioners, that you want a partner in healthcare with you. So sometimes if you see someone and they're not, maybe don't have your best interest at heart, or you're just not feeling like you're being heard, we're blessed here in Massachusetts that you have so many other options. So it may be worth doing the research and seeking out a medical professional that is a little more aligned with your needs and really listening to you. Additionally, we don't want to maintain cleanliness and good hygiene with our body, no smoking or drug use, and limit any alcohol intake. Our immune system. So much talk about immune system these days, right? So here it is. This is how we promote a good immune system. 4 known ways, 4 indisputable ways. Rest, so we have to sleep. Nutrition, we have to eat. Activities that reduce stress, and exercise. We have to move. Those are the 4 ways you can help promote a healthy immune system. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, Dr. MC, I read I can take goji berries or elderberries or some other supplement, and I'm going to avoid COVID and my immune system is going to be in tip-top shape. That's great. That's what you want to do. By all means, go ahead. But there's a lot of controversy and differing opinions when we talk about different supplements and stuff like that, because we need to know when it was made, how it was processed, what other components are there, how does your body absorb it, how does your body digest it, do you take it in the morning, do you take it in the afternoon, do you take it with food, do you take it with water, when you go to the bathroom, do you just eliminate it out of your body? So there's a lot. Can you develop a toxicity to it? So there's a lot that goes into when we start thinking about different vitamins and supplements. But I feel like these 4 ways here are really indisputable and they are backed by research. So if you think about it, by practicing self-care, you're actually going to improve your immune system. So we're going to get good rest. We're going to feed our body, we're going to reduce our stress, and we're going to keep moving. And we're going to have beautiful, healthy, functioning immune systems. And I do have a blog post that goes deeper into that. That's what that link is there on the screen that you can find on my website, which is conveniently scrolling across the bottom of this presentation. Hey, let's not forget about our eyes in all of this. So, especially now with all this increased screen time, we are maybe noticing that our eyesight is suffering a bit. And so we want to make sure that we're taking care of our eyes. So, how can we do that? Well, want to make sure that the spaces that you're using, you have proper lighting and that you're taking some eye breaks. So, let's do this right now. So, every 20 minutes, you're going to take a 20-second break and focus your eyes on something at least 20 feet away. So I want you to look the other way and we'll pause for 20 seconds and we'll give ourselves an eye break. Roughly 20 seconds. So if you can get into a habit to help promote your eye health, that you take a 20-second break every 20 minutes, look at something 20 feet away. If you're near a window, you can always look outside the window. That might be a nice break for you as well. Additionally, we want to make sure we have wearing proper eyewear. If you're like me and you need glasses to function, you want to make sure that those prescriptions are up to date and working as best they can for you. Eye drops can be beneficial if you're experiencing dry eye. And you want to keep your posture in mind, especially at the computer. We have a tendency to slouch. You want to make sure you're sitting up nice and tall and you're mindful of your posture. If you're prone to headaches, lavender oil, ice packs, or blue light blocking glasses or neck stretches can actually help. And we're going to go through some stretching together in just a minute. And additionally, or lastly, really, the air quality of your space can impact your eye health as well. One note about blue light blocking glasses: if the glasses aren't um, reasonable for you, they are making now screens that can go across your computers that will help block some blue light as well. So that might be something to look into if you are struggling or experiencing some challenges in your eyes. Okay. So let's relieve some neck tension or just tension in general in our upper body. So I will lead you through this and demonstrate as best I can in a chair here, which everything is seated. But this is also really good because any movement is good. If you sit at a desk all day doing your job, like I do, take a couple of minutes and do some stretches right there in your seat. We'll call it deskercise. And you can really feel better and just really help take care of yourself and take care of your physical body. So I'm going to demonstrate these. We're going to do them very slowly and mindfully. If you feel pain of any sort, please stop. I want you to listen to your body. Do not go past where you feel a stretch. I may provide some modifications. If I do and you don't want to do that, you don't have to. If you're feeling a stretch right where you are, then that's where you will stay. So I want you to sit up nice and tall in your chair, wherever you are. And I really want you to feel your feet grounded on the floor beneath you. And to sit up nice and tall, you can close your eyes or lower your gaze again if it's comfortable. And we're just going to start. Let's just roll our shoulders backwards. Do this, 3 times. And then whatever direction you went in, let's just do the reverse. So let's do another 3 coming forward. Great. Now what I want you to do is just lower one ear to the shoulder. Just right here. You should feel a stretch already on the opposite side. If you need to increase it, you can gently place your hand on your head. I'm going to come up from that slowly. Now we're going to go to the other side. I want to make sure you're breathing while you're doing this. And come up. And now we're going to look down at the ground. And if you want, you can take your hands and gently apply some pressure on the back of your head to help increase this stretch. Now we're going to look up at the sky. And again, you can use your hands and gently apply some pressure on your chin. Great. Now what I want you to do is, while you're seated, take your upper body and I want you to twist to one side. And you can use your legs, put your hands on your legs to help increase that stretch. So you're just twisting your torso and you're going to look over your shoulder as well while you do this. Again, make sure you're breathing. And we can let that go. And now you're going to go to the other side. Twist the other way and look over your shoulder. And breathe. Okay. Now we're going to lean to one side, just your upper body. If you want to use your arm, it can help kind of increase that stretch or intensify it. Keep your hips nice and rooted down on the chair. We're going to go to the other side, just a little lean. We're not doing anything intense or extreme. We're just moving our body and breathing. Great. Now we're going to do cat-cow. So if you're familiar with yoga poses, then you know what this is. We're going to do it seated. So you're going to put your hands right on your thighs. You're going to sit up nice and tall. And you're going to take a deep breath in through your nose. And as you do that, you're going to push your chest and upper body forward in kind of a curved fashion. And your hands will draw back up your thighs as you do that. And then when we exhale, you're going to round your shoulders forward and bend that back forward. So let's try that a couple times. Let's breathe in through our nose and exhale. Let's do that again. In through the nose and exhale. And one more time. In through the nose and exhale. Great. That can also be done. You may be more familiar with it if you're down in like a tabletop position on all fours and you do cat-cow that way, but I also like doing it in a chair. So now we're going to take 2 fingers on either side of our back of our head, put them back at the base of your skull, where your skull meets the top of your neck. And I want you to just apply some pressure in that area. And then I want you to push on it as if you're trying to pop your head right off your neck, like you're a bobblehead and you're just going to pop it right off. And we're just trying to create a little space there at the top of our skull. We hold a lot of tension in our upper body. If you've ever taken a yoga class and at the end you're lying down in Shavasana and the teacher comes over and kind of cradles your head and gently kind of pulls on it, same idea. She's just creating some space there for you. Okay. So lastly, or one of the last things we're going to do is I want you to lift your gaze just a little bit. And I want you to pretend like you have a pencil or a paintbrush on the end of your nose. And you're going to draw circles with that paintbrush that is on the end, the tip of your nose. So we'll just pick a direction and we're going to do, 4 or 5 in one direction. Nice and slowly. And you can play around with how big the circle is that you're drawing. Then after you've done 4 or 5 in one direction, change directions. I prefer that than the full out neck roll. When I do full neck rolls, I feel a lot of crunching and not necessarily a pleasant experience. So I prefer that method of drawing the circles to make sure that stretching out this whole area. And then we're going to take our hands, we're going to clasp them. And what I want you to do is palms out and push forward straight ahead and then lean, tuck your chin. So you're just stretching out top of your upper back. That always feels good. Let that go. And then lastly, I want you to keep your hands clasped. And if you're like me and do a lot of work at the computer every day, we can hold a lot of tension in our wrists. So from this position, you're just going to make some wrist circles. It's kind of almost like a figure eight with your hand. And one direction will feel okay, but then you're going to reverse it. And that will feel a little more awkward because that's not as natural of a movement if it's the opposite for you. But we're just going to stretch out those wrists and do some circles in each direction. And there you go. That only took a couple of minutes. It would even have been faster if you weren't, if I wasn't teaching you. So you can definitely take a couple of minutes here and there and do some stretches, even while you're just seated at your desk or sitting down after work in front of the TV, maybe binge watching a show on Netflix, and you relieve some tension and just get some gentle stretching in. But any of those stretches would also be good to do right before bed. Okay, let's talk about our environmental domain. This is where we want to maintain a manageable schedule, avoid taking on too many requests or demands, maintain a comforting, pleasing, and organized living and work environment, maintain balance between the demands of others and what's important to you, address any physical barriers to daily functioning you may have. So, what that means is if you need a special supply or light bulbs, you acquire whatever it is you need. Wear suitable clothing for the weather, which I know in Massachusetts that can be like 3 seasons before noon, depending upon the day and where we're at in the year. And do things that make your everyday living and work environment more pleasant and enjoyable. So maybe that's a cushion on your chair or a support or a meaningful photo on your desk or just planning something fun for Friday afternoons. Okay, our self compassion domain. We're almost through the 10 domains. So, this is where we want to notice without judgment when we're struggling or feeling resistance, or we don't want to engage in punitive, critical, harsh, judgmental self talk. Sometimes those little voices in our head are not super kind. We want to kindly acknowledge our own challenges, engage in comforting and supportive self talk. Try to shift your thinking. If you catch yourself in those non-compassionate times, if you can reframe issues for yourself. My greatest example of that comes from earlier on in COVID when people were saying, I'm stuck at home, I'm stuck at home, I'm stuck at home. Well, you weren't necessarily stuck at home, you were safe at home. And if you say to yourself, I'm stuck at home versus I'm safe at home, you can actually almost feel a difference in your body just from saying those things. Remind yourself that failure and challenge are part of the human experience and feel your feelings. It's okay if you need to cry or punch a pillow or do something else to express your feelings and your emotions. They're all valid, they're all worthy, and you should feel them. I love to talk about this when we talk about the self-compassion domain. So this is the plant experiment with IKEA. They did this a few years ago in a school, actually, where they took two plants, two identical plants of the same conditions, same size. They got the same water, the same sunlight, everything. They were placed in two glass cases in the hallway of a school, and there were speaker boxes on either side. And every day for a month, one of the plants only received negative, bullying, harsh, critical, judgmental things were being said to that plant. Whereas the other plant was complimented, received positive things and kindness and compassion. And after 30 days, that's the difference of the plants there on the screen. That poor little plant on the left, I just want to give it a hug and take care of it. So think about that with yourself when you're saying, those unkind things, either internally or even externally about yourself, that you don't want to be that little plant on the left. You want to be that flourishing, strong plant on the right. We're basically house plants with way more complicated emotions. Okay. Our last domain of self care. And we will have a couple of minutes. We will end with another activity, and then we will have a couple minutes for questions. I don't know if there's been any questions coming in, but if there are, we will have time to address those towards the end. So, our spiritual domain. This is where we want to experience meaning and or larger purpose in our work or school life. Want to spend time in a spiritual place. For some folks, that might be church or a meditation room or maybe a self-care space or even just outside in nature. We want to read, watch, or listen to something inspirational. You can spend time with others who share your spiritual worldview. So that may be a church community or perhaps a volunteer group of some sort. To spend time doing something that you hope will make a difference. So maybe you volunteer at a soup kitchen or you take time out for someone else. That's how we can what couple of the ways we can address our spiritual domain. Okay. So how do we do all of this? You may be thinking to yourself, Dr. MC, I am way too busy to do all of this stuff and it's just not going to happen. So here's how I conceptualize my self-care routine. And I like to call this Dr. MC's self-care success board. Very similar to a vision board, which I also love to do, but I didn't invent that. Anyway, the self-care success board. So here's what I do. So you're right. You can't do every single thing every single day, nor do you have to. But think about it over the course of a week. So 7 days. Well, in across 7 days, that's much more reasonable to make sure that you're hitting all of your aspects of your self-care routine so that you can show up as the best you possible. So I have a magnetic whiteboard hanging just behind me here in the room that I'm in. And I got some day of the week magnets from Amazon and I set it up. So every week, what I like to do is I think about my week. So I put up first like my non-negotiables, my calendar. I love calendars. I had a Palm Pilot like in high school because I've always been obsessed with organizational tools. But anyway, that's a different story. So I lay out my week. So my non-negotiables. So my 9 to 5, like what I have to do for my day job, everything, I got that there. And then anything else. If I have some Dr. MC presentations, so my tonight's presentation would be on there. If I have any other appointments, all that stuff gets on there kind of first. Then I can kind of look at it and see, okay, well, I want to exercise this week. How many times? Well, it's a busy week. Maybe I can only fit in um 15 minutes of riding my stationary bike twice. So that's it. 15 minutes bike, 15 minutes bike, schedule it out. Okay, great. So I'm going to do yoga on Tuesdays. I'd like to meditate a second time this week. So I'm going to meditate. Oh, I got some time on Friday. Friday, 10 minutes meditation. Okay. What else? What else do I want to do? So I know the elements that are part of my routine, and maybe you know the things that work for you, for your routine. So I fit it all in. But if I conceptualize it over the course of 7 days, it seems far less daunting than thinking about, every day trying to do all the things you're not going to be able to do and work a full-time job and take care of children or whatever else you have for responsibilities. You're not going to be able to do all of that every single day. But generally speaking, over the course of a week, you can hit most of your elements of your self-care routine and most of these domains. So maybe you like to journal. So schedule it out. And maybe this doesn't work for you. Maybe you're like, "Whoa, that is way too much. I can't do that." Fine. I would encourage you then to pick one area. Think about all the things we've talked about and pick just one area. You're like, "You know what? I could improve my sleep." Great. So see what you can do and just focus on that one area. Maybe you make a little shift. Maybe your shift is you're going to try to go to bed half an hour earlier every night. Great. That's small, that's reasonable, that's realistic. So start there. When we take little, small steps and start building small habits, we can actually have a large cumulative effect on our success and our well-being by doing that, by just making some little shifts. So don't think about it as this big daunting thing. Really take it down and figure out how this is going to work for you and how you're going to do it and what little things can you do. And I promise it's worth it. You'll feel so much better when you're really taking care of yourself and putting your needs first. A whole new world opens up for you. Okay. We're going to do this little exercise together. It is called Just for Now, I Am. So, what we're going to do, and I'll lead you through, you're going to place your hands on different parts of your body as depicted on the left-hand side of the screen. So, we're going to put our hands on our head, our eyes, etc. Okay. Then you're going to say the sentence, Just for now, I am. And then finish it with the word on the right-hand side of the screen. So Just for now, I am connected. Just for now, I am clear as we move through. Now, I want you to take nice, big, deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. Make those exhales nice and long. So on the inhale, we want to fill that belly all the way. And on the exhale, we want to empty it all the way. If you're noticing your chest move, you're probably breathing too shallow. We really want to breathe down into our diaphragm. Really fill that belly all the way. So you'll repeat the sentence after me, and that will be how we work our way through this exercise. This is a great exercise. I've had many folks that I've demonstrated this for. It's not mine. It was actually passed down to me by my Reiki master, passed down to her by her Reiki master, Libby Barnett, who's credited there on the screen. But this is a wonderful exercise. I've had teachers that I've presented to translate it into foreign languages and using it with their students this school year over Zoom. I've had other teachers incorporate it into their virtual classrooms as well, or their in-person classrooms. It's really great. So let's sit up nice and tall in our chair. I want you to, again, really feel your feet against the ground, all four corners of your feet are firmly pressed into the ground. I want you to feel your body sitting on whatever you're sitting on. You're feeling yourself here in this space. And we're going to start. You can lower your gaze or close your eyes if it's comfortable. We're going to start with our hands on our head. And we're going to take one nice big deep breath in and exhale. Just for now, I am connected. I want you to think about these words too that you're saying. Just for now, I am connected. We're going to move our hands to our eyes. We're going to take a nice big deep breath in and out. Just for now, I am clear. Move your hands to the side of your face. Take a nice big deep breath in and out. Just for now, I am focused. Going to move your hands to your throat. You're going to take a nice, big, deep breath in and out. Just for now, I am wise. Move your hands to your shoulders. Take a nice, big, deep breath in and out. Just for now, I am relaxed. Move your hands to your heart. Take a nice, big, deep breath in and out. Just for now, I am grateful. Move your hands to your solar plexus, which is your upper belly area just above your belly button. Take a nice big deep breath in and exhale. Just for now, I am calm. You're going to move your hands to your abdomen, your lower belly area below your belly button. Take a nice big deep breath in and a long breath out. Just for now, I am forgiving. And move your hands to your lap. Take one last big, deep cleansing breath in through your nose. And nice long exhale. Just for now, I am peaceful. Excellent. A really nice exercise brings you right down. I always feel myself ready for a nap after that. But you can definitely access that exercise on my Instagram. There's a video of myself leading it, as well as this recording will live on the Salem State page. So you'll be able to access it in the future there as well. And lastly, in the interest of fun, I'm hosting my first giveaway on Instagram. So be sure to head over and follow me at Dr. MC, DRMC Self Care. Find the post that looks like this and enter to win. Follow the instructions and enter for a chance to win a private 45-minute virtual self care session with me. And yeah, we can go over, if you win, if you're the lucky winner, we can go over your strengths and weaknesses, and I can help you um, think about your routine and give you some suggestions and teach you more ways that you can take care of yourself so that you show up as the best you possible. And lastly, there's my contact information. And we do have a couple more minutes. I'm not sure if we got any questions or not, but this is all my contact information. And I just want to shout out to my mom, Anna Maria Melito, who graduated from Salem State undergrad and master's degree. She did my logo design, and it is brand new. And this is actually the first presentation I've done since the logo has been completed. So you're the first person, the first people to see it here on this. And since she's another Salem State alum, I did want to give her a shout out and a thank you because I think the logo is really fun. But that's me, Teresa Melito Connors, Dr. MC, of Dr. MC's Self Care Cabaret. I hope you enjoyed this evening's presentation and that you will take a look at your own routine. And hopefully, I taught you some things that make you think about your own self-care routine and things you can start to utilize and think about. And please continue to use me as a resource. Happy to answer any questions. It doesn't appear like we have any yet, but that's not a problem. If you have some, you think of something later, be sure to reach out to me through my social media channels or feel free to email me if you wish, or check out my website, all the ways you can connect with me. So if there are not any questions, which it does not appear that there are, I thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. Thanks.